Alright guys, welcome to the next video. I want you to take a look at the top of your note sheet. This ribbon up here is very important. It says rate of change is equal to slope. I know that we've talked about this already. Rate of change is the same thing as slope. It's the rise over the run. It's the change in y over the change in x. It is your unit rate. It lets you know how much something is changing or moving. Okay, so there's three main ways that we go about looking at these things. We have equations, we have graphs, and we have tables. Okay, so now we've talked about slope, we've talked about unit rate, we've talked about how they are the same thing. Today we want to bring in the idea of initial value. Okay, so because rate of change is like the same thing as slope, we want you to recognize that initial value, or the place where something starts, is the same thing as a y-intercept. It's the same thing as a y-intercept. In an equation, it is the value you get when x is equal to 0. Okay, so that's an idea that we talked about in the last unit. That's how we find our y-intercept, the place where a graph begins, the place where x is equal to 0, or it's the number that's written on its own when written in an equation. So if we look at this first one here, it says find the initial value. The initial value, which is just a fancy way of saying your y-intercept, which we always represent with the letter b, from the functions below. So here's my first function, or my first equation. Y equals $1.75 plus 2x. If I'm looking for the initial value, or b, or my y-intercept, in this case, it's $1.75. If I'm looking at my graph and I'm looking for my initial value, or my b, or my y-intercept, it's the place where the graph is first beginning on the y-axis. So in this case, it happens to be 10, and my label this time is miles. If I look at my table, because my y-intercept, or my initial value, or my b, all meaning the same thing, is when x is equal to 0. Here, it's also a 10. I don't have a label, like here I had dollars, here I had miles. Here they don't give me information, so in this case it's just a 10. Okay, so looking at equations, graphs, tables, we are going to then figure out some questions based on what might be better, looking at the initial value or the rate of change. Example 1, you are looking to purchase a gym membership. There are 3 gyms in your town that you can pick from. Absolute Fitness, we have Belly Busters, and we have Pumping Iron. The info below shows the current deal that each gym is offering. So at Absolute Fitness, they're giving me an equation. In the equation, I see I have a y-intercept. That's the number that's sitting all by itself. I have a slope. That's your number that is always sitting next to your x. Your y-intercept, of course, is the same thing as your initial value, and your rate of change, of course, is the same thing as your slope. Your y-intercept, or your initial value, being b, your slope, or your rate of change, being your m. Okay, if I'm looking at Belly Busters, same thing. I'm going to have to find the initial value. That's your y-intercept, or your b. I'm going to have to find my rate of change, which is my slope, also known as my m. Same thing here for Pumping Iron. My initial value, which is my y-intercept, or my b, my rate of change, which is my slope, also known as m. Okay, so if I go back to Absolute Fitness here, they gave me an equation. My initial value happens to be $25. My rate of change, or my slope, or my m, happens to be $35. So it's a starting value of $25. Then I'm having to pay a rate of change every month, $35. For Belly Busters, initial value, how much do I have to pay at first? Here it says no enrollment fee, so I'm looking at $0. It's pretty cool, so I don't have to pay anything to sign up. And then it's $50 per month. So every month that goes by, I'm paying a rate of change, or a slope, or here my m, of $50. Then I'm looking at Pumping Iron. Here they're giving me a graph. Here's my initial value, which is my y-intercept, which is my b, which happens to be $30. So it looks like I'm starting out at a $30 amount. And then how much am I changing? What is my slope? What is my M? My rate of change. If I look up and over, if I count up and over, that's giving me $30 for every 1 month that goes by. Here this was $50 for 1 month that goes by. Here was $35 for 1 month that goes by. Okay, so y-intercept, slope, y-intercept, slope, y-intercept, slope. Here's where it starts. Here's how I continue to pay. Here's what I pay to start. Here's what I continue to pay. Here's what I pay to start. Here's what I continue to pay. So complete the charts below for the number for being a member for either 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 months. Now at Absolute Fitness, the cost is $25 at 0 months. So this is coming from my $25 plus the $35 that I have to pay per month, but no months have gone by yet. So 35 times those 0 months is 0. 0 plus 25 just gives me that 25. If 1 month has gone by, I've paid $25 plus 1 payment of $35. So that's going to give me a total of 60. 2 months have gone by. That's $25 plus my $35 that I've now paid twice for those 2 months. That's going to give me a $95 total. If 3 months have gone by, I've paid $25 plus $35 3 times over, which is now giving me a total of $130. If I pay $25 plus my $35 now 4 times over, that's going to give me a total of $165. If I'm over here at Belly Busters, 0 months, I'm not paying anything. There is no initial cost. There is no initial value. There is no y-intercept. So it's $0 to start. If 1 month goes by, I'm paying $50 because it's $50 a month. So if 2 months pass, I'm at $100. If 3 months pass, I'm at $150. If 4 months pass, I'm at $200. At Pumping Iron, at 0 months, my initial value, I paid $30. If 1 month has gone by, I've paid that $30 plus it's $30 for that 1 month, so now I'm up to 60. If 2 months have passed, I've paid my $30 initial fee plus $30 twice over. If I'm looking at, so that total would be $90. If I'm looking at $30 plus another $30 3 times over, I'm looking at $120. If I'm paying $30 plus another $30 4 times over, I'm looking at $150 total. So based on the months, we can see at certain points Absolute Fitness might be better than Belly Busters might be better than Pumping Iron might be better than either of those two. If you flip to the back, we'll see what those are telling you there. They're saying if you are planning on keeping your membership for the summer, which is just 2 months of time, let's just say July and August, what would be the cheapest option for you? So if I flip to the front to see 2 months of time, for 2 months, Absolute Fitness would be $95. 2 months would be $100 at Belly Busters, and 2 months would be $90 at Pumping Iron. So as far as 2 months go, I want to go to Pumping Iron because it's the cheapest. If you are planning on keeping your membership for a full year would be 12 months. What gym should you get a membership at? Well, if I'm going for 12 months, if I look at the front, it doesn't go up to 12, it only goes up to 4, but I can just fill in a 12 into these spots here. So we have Absolute Fitness. Then I want you to draw a line. Here we have Belly Busters. Best gym name ever. Draw a line. Then I'm going to have Pumping Iron and draw a line, and we're just going to put our information there. So as far as Absolute Fitness goes, they gave me an equation. Y equals 25 plus 35x. Belly Busters, no initial value, but a slope of 50. So that's y equals 50x. Pumping Iron, they didn't give me an equation, but they gave me a graph. I found my initial value and my slope. This guy goes next to the x. This guy goes at the end. So I have y equals 30x plus 30. And all I'm going to do is plug in 12 for each, and let's see who's the cheapest. If I have y equals 25 plus 35 times 12, I have y equals 50 times 12. I have y equals 30 times 12 plus 30. This guy over here, if I do y equals a 25 plus 35 times that 12, that's going to give me $445. If I'm at Belly Busters, that's going to be a total cost of $600. And if I'm at Pumping Iron, that's going to be a total cost of $390. So if I'm looking at 12 months of time, it's looking like Pumping Iron is my clear choice because it is the cheapest. And I'm going for the cheapest place. Part C, under what circumstance might someone want to become a member at Belly Busters even though it has the highest monthly rate? Well, if I go back to my chart, the only time that we're looking at where it's cheaper, we're looking at 0 months, 1 month. So logically, if you were to go there, nobody really stays just for 1 month. We are looking at more time. However, if somebody does not have the money to sign up for an activation fee, it's free, so they would go. So if someone does not have money for the activation, which I'm going to put in parentheses here, your initial value, that was like the start money, then they would go to Belly Busters because it would be free to start, and then you're only paying the $50 for that first month. So really within 2 months or that first month of time, you're only paying $50 compared to some of the other gyms where an activation fee is going to jack up the cost a little bit.
Hey guys, Mrs. Steger here. Alright, we're just going to do one more example together and then we'll wrap this up. We apologize for the length of this one. Okay, so we've got some cleaners. We've got Swifty Sweepers, we got Merrily Maids, and we've got Crisp Cleaners. Okay, if you look at Swifty Sweepers, they give us like a little story here, 25 a house and 20 for each hour. So what's really going to help us is if we set up an equation here. So if it's 25 just to come to the house and then 20 for each hour, so we would do 20x. So that's going to be our equation, 25 just to come and then 20 per hour. You guys have set up equations before, so hopefully that's not too new. But now it'll be easier to kind of compare everything. Merrily Maids is already in an equation. Crisp Cleaners is just a graph. So if we look, and we talked about initial value, it looks like our initial value for Swifty Sweepers is $25. It costs $25 just for them to come, and then our rate of change or our slope is $20 an hour. Merrily Maids, it costs $70 just for them to come, but then they only charge $5 an hour, so our slope is 5, or our rate of change is 5. Here, if you look at this, no matter if they come 0 hours, 1 hour, no matter what, it's $60. So our initial value is 60, and it just starts at 60, but then no matter what, it's $60 no matter how many hours they come. Okay, so now that we've kind of analyzed the information, let's answer some questions. So it says, how many hours of cleaning would the cost be the same for Swifty Sweepers and Merrily Maids? So let's just take our two equations. I want to know when Swifty Sweepers, which is 25 plus 20x, will be the exact same as Merrily Maids, 70 plus 5x. If I want to know when something is going to be the same, I just set the two equations equal to each other. So I'm going to just solve here. So I'm going to subtract 25 to both sides. I'm going to subtract 5x to both sides, just some basic equations. So we get 15x is equal to 45. Okay, and then just come over here. If we divide both sides by 15, we get x equals 3. Remember, word problem, word answer. So they will be the same at 3 hours. So if I only need 3 hours of cleaning and I go to Merrily Maids or Swifty Sweepers, the cost will be the same at 3 hours. Okay, part B says describe what the graph of crisp cleaners is showing about their cost. Well, we kind of already talked about that. At 0 hours, it's $60. At 1 hour, it's $60. At 3 hours, so no matter how long they're there, how long they come and clean, it's $60 no matter what. Okay, which company would you want to use if it takes 5 hours to clean your house? Okay, so let's start with Swifty Sweepers. Okay, the equation is 25 plus 20x. Well, it's 5 hours. If I look at my graph, hours is our x. So that means I'm going to take this 5 and plug it in for x. So I would just do 25 plus 20 times 5. And when we plug that in our calculator, we get $125. So at 5 hours, it would be $125. Okay, let's talk about Merrily Maids. We're going to do the same thing. Y equals 70 plus 5x. We've got 5 hours. Hours is our x. Plug in the 5. So we do 70 plus 5 times 5. Plug that in our calculator, and we should get that Merrily Maids cost $95. Okay, and then we've got our crisp cleaners. Crisp cleaners, no matter how many hours they come, is $60. Okay, so if somebody's coming for 5 hours to clean your house, crisp cleaners would be the best choice. Okay, they are the cheapest. Okay, so because this video is getting a little bit longer, I'm going to actually skip part D. It's the exact same question as this one, but instead of 5 hours, they just want 1 hour. So you would do the exact same thing and compare with 1 hour. Okay, all right, let's take a look at part E. It says, when would it be the cheapest option to use Merrily Maids? Well, if you look at Merrily Maids, no matter if they're in your house for 0 hours or what, the initial value is $70. So no matter what, I have to pay Merrily Maids $70 just to come to my house. Well, if you look at Crisp Cleaners, no matter what, I have to pay them $60. So Crisp Cleaners is always going to be cheaper than Merrily Maids because their initial value is $60, Merrily Maids is $70. So Merrily Maids will never be cheaper because Crisp Cleaners has a smaller initial value. All right, thanks for your patience. Thanks for sticking with us. Sorry for the length. Be sure to bring this sheet with you. Be sure to answer the question at the end. You guys are awesome. See you in class.